Good
morning. Welcome to the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules. First item on the agenda is to take up the minutes for from the last meeting. And while we're sorting those out, we'll ask the committee's members to introduce themselves. My name's Mark McDonald, Senator from Orange County. I'm on the Finance and Natural Resources Committee. And if we would continue. Jump in someone.
I'm State Senator Joe Benning from the Caledonia County District.
I'm Senator Chris Bray from the Addison Senate District.
Sen Lyons, representing Chittenden County, Chair of Health and Welfare, also on Education.
I'm State
Trevor World, Vice Chair of LCAR and House Appropriations.
I'm State Representative Carol Odie, and I represent the far new north end of Burlington, and I sit on the House Ways and Means Committee.
Representative Seth Bongartz, I represent Bennington 4. I sit on the House Natural Resources, Fish and Wildlife Committee.
I'm Representative Mark Higley. I sit on GovOps, and I'm from Lowell, and I represent Lowell, Jay, Westfield, Troy, and Eden.
Thank you all. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the minutes have been approved. First item on the agenda is 20P11 with which was the first of the two rules dealing with the census count for special education. When we left last week, we had finished both of these. We think we had answered all questions. We were out of time, and we had a couple LCAR members who had to leave early. So if there's any discussion or a motion on this, we will. Senator Lyons.
I have one question. I think it actually relates to the next rule that we're looking at on the special ed, but I'll ask it now. And that is, as I was looking through the rules, there are sections for ages 0 through 3 that are not referenced, that are referenced in the table of contents, but I can't find it. I can't find reference to 0 through 3, and I will ask it while we're looking at the census-based funding, just in case there's a relationship. And I don't know who I'm at. I think maybe Chair Carol might be able to answer that, or Emily Simmons, either one, I don't know.
Chair Carol, former Senator Carol. Do you have could you help us on that issue? You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm going to defer to General Counsel Emily Simmons, who I'm sure can answer Senator Lyons' question.
Ms. Simmons, welcome.
Good morning. Emily Simmons, Agency of Education. Yes, Senator Lyons, sorry to basketball you around. There are the Part B rules for younger children ages 0 to 3. I don't know if we want to take up the time here to answer a specific question about one particular rule you couldn't find, but I'll point out for you that the major changes to substance were made in the rules for ages 6 to 22. We're expecting in future years to work with the Agency of Human Services. We jointly administer those rules for younger children. We'll need to work with them to go back and make some timely edits that have been identified that we didn't have time to get to this time.
Okay, thank you. I guess as we're going forward, it would be helpful for me to have a statutory reference for 0 to 3, because I do understand that there's a role that Department of Health plays for children with special needs. So this becomes a larger issue than rule modification for me anyway, just needing to understand the overall framework from which AOE is working.
Okay, well, the statutory reference for those rules is the IDEA in this case.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? We lack a motion. Senator Benning.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve Rule 20-P11.
It is moved that we approve 20P11. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. They do have it, and the rule has been approved, which brings us to 20P12. The other half of the package on Sen Lyons.
Okay. The other half is about, you know what? It's just like trying to share a piece of cake. One half is always bigger than the other. So I'm Emily Simmons. I'm going to ask you if you could please, are there any pages of this rule that actually include 0 to 3? Because they're not apparent to me as I went through the rules a few times. I'm looking for the page numbers. I see the reference in the table of contents, but I can't find it when I go back through.
Okay, let me look that up for you, Senator Lyons. It's a very long rule series. Thanks for your patience. So the rules in many cases, Senator Lyons, are duplicated. A good example is the definitions. There are Part B definitions and then Part C definitions. They are largely the same, again, for the younger children and the older children, but there are some important differences that are required by federal law. So I was going to point you to the Part B definitions.
I see Part B, which is ages 3 through 22 or 21.
The most useful place to start is page 71, Senator Lyons, and on from there for many subsequent pages. But I would estimate that the rules for children ages 0 to 6 are probably 50 or more pages, starting on page 71.
All right, I did see that section. So what you're saying then, are you saying that everything that follows is relates to 0 to 6? I know the definition of child, for example, includes 0 to 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Lyons, I told you backwards. So the cover page for the young children, birth up to age 3 is Part C. Then older children beginning with age 6 through school starts on page 71. So there is not a separate section that is just for the very youngest children in these rules. That is its own section.
Okay.
The IDEA rules for those children are contained in pages 71 and forward, starting with age 6.
Okay. All right. So, but what you've also indicated is that you're going to be working collaboratively with others who share responsibilities and that we will see those rules in the future?
The Child Development Division identified a set of amendments that they'd like to see. Unfortunately, the timing with those amendments coming forward was at the end of the public comment period. I think the pandemic just messed them up getting those to the Agency of Education in time for the state board to consider them for this rulemaking, but that work luckily has been done. We have those amendments ready to go.
And then, as I asked before, will Department of Health be included in some of those in the rulemaking process?
Yes, where necessary, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Representative Higley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is probably a process question being new to LCAR, but you know, as you can see in this particular 20P12, it's over a ream of paper, and I'm just wondering, is it always the case where, you know, I noticed there's quite a few Survey Monkey responses. Is it the case that it all has to be sent to us?
Are you looking for a smaller envelope, Representative Higley?
Yes, or just, you know, what the process could be, whether we could look up some of that stuff if it's online, or if we do have to receive the full packet.
We received the full pack.
Okay.
Individual senators and representatives can look things up online. If you find that more handy than paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. We are stalled for lack of a motion. Senator Benning.
So with that, Mr. Chair, seeing no other hands up for questions, I will move approval of 20-P12.
Senator Benning has moved approval of 20-P12. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. They do, and the rule has passed. Which brings us to 50-50 chance here. Vermont 21P03, Vermont Fish and Wildlife Board, Fish Management Regulation. And for the department, Catherine Jessing, speaking for the department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I also have Eric Palmer, who is the Director of Fisheries with me, as well as Bernie Pienka. So if the committee has questions, they're the real experts. This rulemaking was initiated in an effort to simplify the fishing rules. It does shorten it, probably by about 10 pages. It consolidates some of the specific rules that were different for many different water bodies. That was the primary purpose of this undertaking. We did engage in a public outreach process prior to initiating the rulemaking in the fall of last year and got some buy-in from the public for the simplification process. And then we went through our board rulemaking process, which entails both board meetings and votes on the various filings in the rulemaking process, and 2 public hearings and a public comment period. And for the most part, we got pretty solid support for this fish management regulation. Essentially, there were 3 changes since filing with the Secretary of State. One was in response to a public comment. We had eliminated we had consolidated the Dog River and the Bat and Kill regulations to make them more uniform, and in so doing, we had eliminated a catch and release opportunity. So we put that back into the bill. The other was just a clarification about the Chittenden Reservoir and where you can take walleye, just to help with the fishermen that are out there in terms of water levels and things like that. It just makes it very clear where the line stops and begins. And then the last one was a comment by Ledge Council, just related to foul hooking and a definition that they fortunately flagged a just sort of an awkward phrase that didn't make that much sense. So we would like to propose that the committee allow us to delete that section. It's in, I believe it's in 4.4. So if folks have any questions, please let us know.
Are there any questions for the witness? Ms. Jessling, who did you say you had accompanying you today?
I have Eric Palmer, who is the Director of Fisheries, and
Okay.
Bernie Pienka, who is a fisheries biologist. He's the real
Okay.
expert.
See them
They're the
both
real-
on the screen?
Yes,
If they have, so all three of you are open to questions at this time?
yes, thank you.
I think I saw someone's hand. Senator Bray.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions, but I was following the correspondence on the modest edit to section 4.4. And as is often the case, if I'm receiving the letter to sign off as a chair of a committee of jurisdiction, there's helpful things that come up at the hearing. And now that I've seen the last edit made, I would, I'll be signing off on behalf of Senate Natural, and I would move approval of Rule 21P03 as amended by Ms. Jessing's memo today and notes.
Motion is to approve 21P03 as amended. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, say nay. And the ayes have it, and you have approved the rule.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming
You're
early. The next one is scheduled for 8:30. Are the folks here from the PUC for Rule 20E05, Public Utility Commission, Steph Hoffman, General Counsel. And if Steph Hoffman is.
Mr. Chair, I am present.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
can you see and hear me?
I can see you. We have it's a two screener today this morning. We have quite a few people on. Ms. Hoffman, welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to present the rule today. This is the same emergency procedure rule that was approved by LCAR last April and last October with just two substantive changes. The purpose of the rule, again, to remind the committee and the new members, is to amend various filing and procedural requirements and provide alternative procedures to reduce or eliminate in-person contact between members of the public and commission staff or other members of the public and reduce the risk of exposure to COVID-19. The two changes that you'll see in the red line version of the rule in your packet are to the first paragraph or first section on purpose and scope, just to acknowledge the persistence of the pandemic circumstances giving rise to this, but to update it in a way that makes it relevant to the current circumstances. And then we have deleted section 2.507, and I believe the committee has received a brief explanation because this occurred as a result of a dialogue with legislative counsel. This is in response to the evolving governor and ACCD guidance and move to universal guidance that occurred since the filing of the rule. And these new changes mean that there are no limitations that would apply to construction affecting the projects that this rule governs. And so in order to eliminate any concern or question about whether there is some sort of guidance. We just decided to delete that section altogether to avoid confusion. So those are the two substantive changes since the last version of the rule that LCAR had approved in October, and I'm happy to answer any questions that any members of the committee might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Got two screens here, and I see
Senator
Bray.
McDonald. So again, as a committee that received a sign-off form, I have signed off on behalf of Senate Natural Resources and Energy, and I would move approval of Rule 21E05. There's no further discussion.
Senator Bray has moved approval of 21E05, emergency rule from the PUC. Is there any discussion? Ms. Dexter Cooper.
Good morning. So for the record, Anthea Dexter Cooper, Office of Legislative Counsel, just so I get the minutes correct, Senator Bray, were you moving that with the additional proposed modification to have section 2.507 be repealed in addition?
Yes, thank you for getting me letter perfect here. Thank you.
I will reflect that in the minutes accordingly.
Senator Bray has moved approval with the amendments. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. They do, and the rule has been passed. Approved. The next two items are requests for extension. First, 20P22 from Department of Corrections. Who is here from the Department of Corrections?
Good morning, folks. My name is Ann Corbin. I'm the policy manager for the Department of Corrections.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have a few other folks with me. I have Monica Weber, who's our Administrative Services Director, Emily Carr, who is our General Counsel, and then we also have our classification folks, Director Colin Bullard and Josh Rutherford. In case you all have questions.
So my understanding is that you wish to ask for extension on this rule?
If you don't mind, I'll give a little bit of an explanation for that extension.
By all means.
Thank you so much. So when we applied for this extension on April 12th, the S18 had not yet been signed into law as Act 12. And so that had significant changes, made significant changes. And so we weren't sure we were going to make the June 2nd deadline for the adopted rule. We weren't sure what that was going to look like. So we requested the extension based on that. Not long after that, on April 26th, the S18 was signed into law, and that changed things. So at this point, we had already been given this invitation for today. And then May 20th is the date that our final proposed rule has been scheduled for hearing, because once S18 was signed, that changed things. They gave us a firm idea of how we could write our rule. And so we submitted our filing forms for the final proposed rule. And now we're not sure if you would recommend that we keep the extension, because that leaves LCAR with only 13 days to process the adopted rule, the final proposed rule. I'll stop there.
So when would you be most comfortable in presenting the rule to us?
We had requested an extension for June 30th.
Can I interject, Senator? Yes. I just wanted to make sure. I'm Monica Weber, Administrative Services Director. I just wanted to make sure I understood the question. We're ready to present the rule to you at any time. We have filed it and we're scheduled to present it to you on May 20th. We don't need to wait that long to present it to you if there's a different schedule in mind. If that's the question you were asking.
Ms. Dindo is not with us this morning. I think she was trying to keep one date open, 1 week open after we adjourned and not meet. prior to the next week. Do you need a firm date now, or we consult with Charlene?
Well, as I said, we are scheduled for May 20th, so we at least have that date, but we're flexible, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Ms. Dexter Cooper.
So speaking on behalf of Charlene, since she's not here, it was May 13th, next week that she was keeping clear. So the next time LCAR is scheduled to meet is May 20th, which is when this rule is scheduled.
Thank you for clearing that one up. Okay. So then if that's when it's scheduled, we've already granted the extension, or do you need an extension to be granted?
I wonder if the extension would still be helpful, because this is a highly contested rule and we want to make sure that we have enough time to respond and apply changes if they come up.
So we have been asked to extend the date to hear this rule until the 20th of May. And that's a request that it's made by the administration, not by us. And now that it has been made, there'd be a motion to accept the extension, the request for an extension. Senator Lyons.
So I will move that we accept the proposal to extend the deadline for the rule, so to May 20th. We still have scheduling issues, but at least there's an extension that's been granted.
Sorry, I think
Ms. Dexter Cooper.
I think you're getting thrown because it's 220s, but the rule is scheduled to be heard on May 20th. The extension request was until June 20th.
Oh, June 30th, I thought. Was it June?
June 30th, June 30th.
June 30th. The current deadline is June 2nd.
I will correct my motion to indicate extension to June 30th. Thank you.
I think I led you down the wrong trail there, Sarah.
Yes, I think you did.
That was my
Mr. Chair.
fault, not yours. Okay. Motion has been made to grant the extension to June 30th. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And the extension has been granted. Look, we will see one, we think, the 20th of this month, but we'll find out later. Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep, you are welcome. Thank you for that. And the last one, I was doing so well here. Department of Corrections. P22. Who's here from the Department of Corrections?
That's the one you just did. They're
Yeah.
out of order on the agenda.
I worked-
You did 20P22 and now you're on 20P21.
No, got them backwards. Thank you.
The agenda has them
22-21,
backwards. You were going in
VOSHA,
order.
Yep, VOSHA. The VOSHA request. And I got May 20th on that one. Who's here from VOSHA?
Representative, I am here, Lee Phillips. I'm chair of the VOSHA Review Board, and also here with me is our clerk, Carolyn Desch. And we're here to ask for an extension for a deadline with respect to the adoption of, I realize the son's here, the adoption of our rule revision. We are revising our rules after, I don't think they've been revised since the 70s. So it's been a lengthy process. Carolyn only works part-time. Those of us on the board all work full-time, plus we've been working with the Department of Labor, our hearing officers and other interested parties working through this process, and it's just taken a little longer. So we're looking for, we're pretty much there. Carolyn, you have to format it and do a few other things, but we just need a little more time to formally submit it to you.
Ms. Desch, anything you'd like to add, or are we all set?
We're all set. I think you've probably seen my memo that I wrote. It's we're hoping to submit the final proposed rule by May 25th and the adoption filing date of August 3rd.
Thank you. We have a good number of new members to LCAR. And I feel like sometimes I used to have students that would come and ask for an extension on their papers. And this is not unusual to new members when it comes down to the end. Sometimes we ask the administration to request an extension of us. And so that's where we are. Do we have a motion? To what date do you seek the motion, Ms. Lee?
It's, I believe, Carolyn, the 25th of May.
25th of May.
That's the date to submit the final proposed rule.
Yep.
I'm not too sure how your motion goes for the extension, but the review board is requesting an extension of the rule adoption filing date to August 3rd.
Okay.
And maybe can help.
And Ms. Dexter Cooper has just signed off. We're on the right track. So a motion to extend to that August 3rd would be in order.
So moved.
Representative Odie moves that we grant the extension until August 3rd. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay, and we have extended the adoption date to August 3rd. That concludes the agenda, unless there's any new business or any discussion.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to thank the committee. We'll be back.
You're most welcome. And I would like to thank the committee. We got through here earlier than usual. And maybe it's the beginning of a trend. Who knows? Dangerous thing to say. It's a motion for adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Sen Lyons moves that we adjourn. Is there any discussion? If not, all those.
Actually, it was Representative Odie.
My
Yeah.
Representative Odie moved that we adjourn.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.